awareness. Awareness, for the purpose of this conversation and this series of videos, can be described as the ability to be able to manage feelings and thought accurately in any given circumstance or situation. Our mission statement here is simply to establish a manner of thinking rationally and honestly, about our paradigm. The last conversation that I had, the last video I did rather, was entitled Comfort for Complacency. Complacency, the fruit of that, is the title for this particular conversation that we're having and this video, and that is cheating on my future with my past. Complacency has a whole lot of other fruit, and there are a lot of other things that complacency did. But how does it allow you to cheat on your future with your past? Well, let's get into that a little bit. A false conception of self. We've talked about the mask. We've talked about, identifying with something that we are not. You add your ego into that, and you already have a misunderstanding of self with that. And once all of this is wrapped up into a little ball, if you will, then what you get, you begin to yield to temptation to satisfy the status quo, this image or whatever. And it's very, very dysfunctional behavior follows that. If I don't understand that the reason that I overcompensate in everything that I do is because I feel less than, so I try to do more because I feel less. It's like an attempt to try to show myself, or show the world that I'm something that's really not even me anyway. I've done this. I have cheated on my future with my past in many different situations. Today, I have begun to recognize that years and years of, shall I say, layers and layers over a series of years of wearing things that were momentary situations becoming permanent fixtures that I would allow to attach themselves to me. So this would become my character. So I became the victim instead of owning all of the bad and terrible things that I was doing. I never really associated them with my low self-esteem, my abandonment issues, my complete lack of trust and love of self and respect for myself. If an individual respects himself, he will respect others. There are a lot of things that I used to do that I don't do anymore, that I look back on them now and I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of my behavior. I was even ashamed of the way that I used to think. But now I don't cheat on my future with my past because I don't stay in the rearview mirror. And you can't get out of the rearview mirror unless you are able to become aware of the things that you have allowed to attach to your character. And I'm going to get into a few examples of that. And I'm going to be transparent here, and use myself and share with you a personal story of mine that I've done in a couple of relationships, and I've lost some phenomenal women as a result of it, and jobs. If you watch any couple of my videos, then you understand that. But I mean, I would basically, everything is going right for me. There are no problems. I've met a new person, and there's a lot of potential, and things are going right, and everything's going good, and all this, that, and the other. But because of the attachment of a whole lot of things that I've identified with that are not me, and as I've said in the previous video, is not what you see, but how you interpret it. So every time things were going good and yada, 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 just that, and the other, and there's no problems and going on, I would unwittingly be looking for ways to sabotage this relationship. Like I didn't deserve to be happy. I didn't know how to love and didn't know how to accept love because I didn't love myself. But I didn't identify this at the particular time. So what I would do is I would do things. If you don't have any reason to lie, why would you lie? If you have everything in front of you that you need, why would you steal? These are mindsets. These are the exact root nature of why we do these things, is because we feel a certain way about ourselves. But let me get back to myself in this short story here. I would do things to hurt my companion by being unfaithful, not trusting, associating behaviors and things and events that had happened in my past with my current situation when they really didn't exist. I created them in my magnificent magnifying mind. You hear me say that? That's from the AA book, actually. The victim. I would always look to create a situation where I would be the victim. So I would victimize whomever I'm with, my companion, with my nonsense, because of the way that I was feeling inside about myself, which I didn't even identify with that because my behaviors were so repetitive and I had done it for so many years and to so many people and so many times, till all I could do is, I would look for these excuses in everything I do, in every situation, in every paradigm, job, conversations, arguments, even good things. I would find a way to try to squeeze out an excuse to rationalize some of this dysfunctional stuff that I was processing in my head. But I didn't identify it as dysfunctional. I want to say my complacency and the excuses that I was using, I would use these excuses to yield to temptation. And, it seems like satisfying desires, whether it be sensual or anything that's self-gratifying to you, that is at the expense of your well-being or your relationship. I would use use my complacency and the excuses and the victim mentality associated with it to sabotage something that probably was nice in front of me, something that was growing, something that could have been very, very beautiful. One of the most prevalent examples that I can use of that is, as men, we drift aimlessly. Men and women alike, women do the same thing now, from relationship to relationship. We're still with one person and we start looking or even sleeping with another person while you're with one person. For a man, it's the best of both worlds. I can't say what it's for a woman, but I'm not. But basically, you are sabotaging whatever it is that you have with this one person, your future, possibly, with your past. Your inability to detach from your past is just that's the outside of it. What the inside of it is, there are some things inside of you that you have allowed to, that we have allowed to attached to our psyche that causes us to keep doing these dysfunctional things. I can't tell anybody what these things are. I can say what they were for me because I can identify with them, and some of them are quite embarrassing and quite painful because I know some people have this thing and be like, how could you do that? Well, I did it. Some of the things that happen to us as men, as I said in previous videos, is without our consent. As a man, we are responsible for our behaviors and our mindsets. But to become aware about these things, you got to start doing some digging. And you got to be able to get brutally honest in order to be able to unearth and get to the exact root nature of why you do what you do. Why do I have a problem with every chick that I meet? Why do I end up in the exact same place redundantly with every job I get, with every woman I meet, with every person I meet? This is how we cheat on our future with our past. Self-acceptance. What I got to recognize is today is I had low self-esteem for so long a period of time till I have a tendency to overcompensate in a lot of areas. Today, I'm mindful of that. So when it happens, I have to stop. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing it again. This is what this blog is about. This is what Open Minds 2020 is about. Some of us have some serious abandonment issues. Attachment issues as well. This is why a lot of us as men sleep with so many different women. I mean, as men, I personally think man should only... I think a man should be faithful to his wife. However, I do understand that maybe man is not built to be with just one woman. However, that's another conversation. But having some integrity about your life, or shall I say, congruency, which is where your actions, your behaviors, and your words line up. This is another conversation that we have